Some years ago, some chevra that came from Chabad asked me if there was any interaction that I had with the Rebbe's Yerushalayim. And they told there something that I really hadn't shared until that time, just some individuals, something more in my family. I wasn't planning on mentioning this, but there's such a hargosha that I have now. So I'm sure many of you, this went around the way things go around these days. But I want to share it with you. And there was a time when I was faced with making a decision going to influence my entire future. And I wasn't sure la'an marlichim I see. I was very broken about this. My parents, especially my mother, she should be well. Parents very much wanted me to be a professional. I was planning on going that time to go to law school. I had prepared for that. There was something inside of me that was pulling me to you. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to disappoint my parents. They went through a lot of things in their lives. At the same time, I didn't feel that's me. I didn't feel that's what I really, really wanted to do with my life. And I decided that I would go to try to see what the Lubavitch Rebbe had to say about that. For many of you heard this from me. Of course, it wasn't possible anymore to have Yechidus with the Rebbe. So I was talking to some friends of mine, some Hasidim, and they said, it's Sunday morning. It wasn't the morning, it was probably Mincha time. And to go, maybe I'll be able to get in a word when the Rebbe comes out. After Mincha, I think. So I went, 7:70, and I was so excited because there were only like 10 people there outside waiting. And I thought that I would actually be able to talk to the Rebbe, to ask him something. But then around 30 seconds, a minute or 30 seconds before it was time for him to come out, all of a sudden there were hundreds of people. And I was pushed like to the back. There was some kind big chassid that gave me some help to get to the front of the row. That time it was a high school, or leaving high school, college maybe at that time, and I was wearing a kippah suga that had my name on it. So they felt bad for me, it was a tzika kim and an outsider, so they pushed me up a little bit. And the Rebbe came out like clockwork, going to the oil. I think at that time he was carrying the bag with kritlach. And he walked very, very quickly. And I was just trying to make eye contact for a second. I gave up on talking about anything, but I was hoping to make eye contact. But he walked so fast, and I tried, and he just went right past me to the car. And he was walking and nodding to people like this. He walked to the car, and he stepped one foot into the car, then he left the car, and he walked back to where I was standing. He went right 6 inches away from me, and with a big smile on his face, he just waved his arm like this. That's all. Which my mother understood meant Colombia. My father, Zichron Levracha, understood it the way that I did. all I could think about, I was trying to pay attention to my friends talking, and I was in the Nagunim, but I was thinking about the Rebbe's eyes, those beautiful, beautiful eyes that I was able to look into. The smile that he gave me, and the soul that he gave me, the life that he gave me. When he waved his arm. And I'm feeling that push. I'm feeling that encouragement. So much now looking around at you. And so grateful for Kadosh Baruch Hu, for bringing us together. I know it's late, and Yerushalayim runs at different times. I want to share with you some of that feeling of the Rebbe's wave. Some of the things I thought I would say, but mostly just to talk to you. Sichas Chaverim. Chaverim came from Karvelacha to one of the Chaverim came to interview me, to speak to me about Chassidus over here, dear in Yerushalayim. It's hard to explain what Chassidus is, and what Chassidus means to me, what it means to you, each person. Like Rabbi Nachman says in the first Torah in Sichas Haran, Ani adati ki gorla Hashem, ani. Only I know what that means to me. So I'm just trying to give over a little bit of that for a few minutes. It was given to me to share, which I've been trying for all of these years to share with my Chaverim. I think you all know that when it came time for the Alter Rebbe to be taken away to prison, when he knew that that's what was coming, that's what was happening, I think you all know, as mentioned before, Rav Judah mentioned, and Rav Jacobson also mentioned the Kedushas Levi. But I think that you know that the Alter Rebbe sent a Shliach, the Baditshev, the Heilige Baditshev is Chus Yerushalayim. He sent a Shliach to tell the Kedushas Levi what was happening, and that the Kedushas Levi, the Heilige Baditshev, should be Ma'ir Rachmim. The Alter Rebbe wasn't just asking for himself to be Ma'ir Rachmim and the Baal Shem HaKadosh. The Alter Rebbe understood that the whole Teres Baal Shem was in danger, and all that the tzaddikim, that Chavraya Kadisha, from the Baal Shem, the Mezritcha Magid, and the Talmid of the Mezritcha Magid, all that they were poil, was in danger. And the light of Mashiach was in danger of being extinguished. Because the light of the Baal Shem is the light of the 7 days of creation. It's Irish to Mashiach. The Alter Rebbe sent the Shliach to go, that the Baditshev should be Ma'ir Rachmim. Because who knew how to daven like the Kedushas Levi? The Shliach finally arrived in Baditshev. Because of the Tiltulei Haderech, until he got there, he couldn't remember the name of the Alter Rebbe's mother. The Baditshev asked, what's the name of the Rebbe's mother? The daven. And the Shliach couldn't remember. The Kedushas Levi opened up Chumash, and his holy eyes fell onto the words of this parasha, Miketz. The words, Vayar Yaakov ki yesh shever b'Mitzrayim. The Baditshev screamed out, Shever, Shnei Zalman ben Rivka. Shnei Zalman ben Rivka Shever. Shnei ben Rivka. Yaakov came Sheva b'Mitzrayim. You know that Sheva means that Yaakov saw that even in Mitzrayim, there's a way for Jews to live. There's a way for us to survive even in the Mitzrayim of Mitzrayim. Sheva means sustenance, it means food. Sheva is also a lashon of Sebrachenkeit. That Yaakov saw that they were going to be in the future, it's going to be long golas. And yesh Sheva b'Mitzrayim. There are going to be many, many mashberim, many sorrows, many broken Jews, many wars, many almanas, many yisraelim lo aleinu. Many broken-hearted, disappointed people who want to get married, who aren't, who want to have children and can't. Yaakov came Sheva b'Mitzrayim, and Yaakov saw that there's going to be such a Sheva, there's going to be so many mashberim that Am Yisrael is going to have to go through, that his children are going to have to suffer through. And there's no question that the Heilige B'Dishva saw in those words. That Yaakov also saw far ahead. And that he saw that Hashem was going to send into the world the Baal Shem HaKadosh Chusi Aleinu, Tavi Baal Shem, the Baal Tanya, who was a great warrior for Chassidus, of that generation, of that time, and for all times. And yesh Sheva b'Mitzrayim. And Rav Judah mentioned before that when the Alter Rebbe was freed, he made a promise. And you and I can take that promise to the bank. The Alter Rebbe said, Kol Mishtatev, just mentioning what Rav Judah said before, Kol Mishtatev, the words which the Rebbe Schussenu mentioned in Yud Tes Kislev and touched in Yud Tes, that he heard from the Friedrich Rebbe Schussenu, that the Friedrich Rebbe had a Kabbalah from one generation to the next, that the Alter Rebbe said, Kol Mishtatev b'Simchasi. Whoever will be Mishtatev, whoever will take part in my Simcha of Yud Tes Kislev. He didn't mean just to have a l'chaim, to make a l'chaim. Kol Mishtatev b'Simchasi. With the Simcha of this galus of the Baal Shem, and the Yeshua and the Geula of Yud Tes Kislev, with the light of Mashiach, the light of Chassidus, was in danger of being extinguished. And Kol Mishtatev b'Simchasi, look at us. Kol Mishtatev b'Simchasi. Yaakov saw us, and he saw the Alter Rebbe, and he saw the Sheva b'Mitzrayim, and he saw they were going to be Jews like us, who in certain ways have everything that we could ever want. We have what to eat. Life is good, Baruch Hashem. Aber nachher kol kach shvurim, mitzutzim, broken. Especially this past year. And the Rebbe promised, Kol Mishtatev b'Simchasi, Oisi, I will take him out. Min ha'meitzar el ha'mercha. I will take you out. If you connect to me, if you connect to what this Yontiv is about, if you connect to the Geula of Yud Tes Kislev, to the Geula of Yud Tes Kislev, which is also the Geula really in Pnimius of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and of the Ariya Kodesh, and of the Goyim, and of the Ramchal, and of the Leshem, all the tzaddikim of Pnimius, all the tzaddikim who had the eyes of Mashiach Tzedekenu. Alter Rebbe promised, I'm going to take you out, and I made Sar El Amerchav. I will take you out. I will help you through me, through this Torah, through these teachings. you will be able to climb out of that Meitzar that you're in. Min ha-Meitzar ha-merchav. Min ha-Geshem el ha-Ruach. You will be able to overcome, which Rav Jacobson was talking about, being a person who's stuck in the house of Potiphar, who's lost in the world of the Mitzrayim of Mitzrayim. Oisi oisai min ha-Geshem el ha-Ruach. I will take you out from that place of obsession with this world and all the ugliness that is found in this world. And it will bring you to a place of vayetze, vayonas, vayetze achutz, min ha-merchel va-meitzar, min ha-geshem el ha-ruach, u'min ha-gehenim. Those were his final words. Even if Chalila, you're a Jew who has found himself, you find yourself, Chalila, in the depths of Gehenna. And whatever that erasure of Gehenna is in Tovshin Pei Hey. We have brothers and sisters that are in Gehenna and Kipshutai, an hour and a quarter or an hour and a half away from here. Who knows what they're going through? Who knows who's alive, who's there? Umin ha-Gehenna. And I believe in Yerushalayim that by being mishtatif in this and living a life of connecting to this geula of what Yud Tes Kislev is, that we're able to somehow rip open the doors of that place as well of Ganem. Listen to this, Chaver. After he was freed, he spoke about what happened while he was there. The Alter Rebbe spoke about the interrogation. And he said that it was clear to him that the interrogators were giving him an opportunity to be free. And they were giving him an opportunity to acquit himself. And all he had to do was to say something by way of officially declaring that he has no part of this new movement of the Karlinas, of the Hasidim. The Alter Rebbe understood that the choice was either he would say a few words and make some sort of a silly statement, because they were just looking for some formal statement. And he understood that if he would not do that, that the choice was most likely he would be put to death. The Alter Rebbe said that he could not and he would not utter one word. He wouldn't utter one word that in any way would imply, on any level, even to the simplest jailkeeper or attorney there in that court, that he was separating himself in any way from the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh. Even though he understood that it meant that he would most likely be put to death. The question, of course, is, everybody knows about Tanya. Was also the author of Shulchan Aruch Harav, and he knew how to learn very well. And even those of us who are simple Jews know that for such a thing one doesn't have to die to make some formal statement to an anti-Semite. He wasn't renouncing his belief in God. We're not talking here about Avodah Zarah. We're not talking about Gilei Arayis, Shvichas Damim. Dibur is a dibur kal. To take a step back from the Baal Shem HaKadosh. And Alter Rebbe said, B'shum oifen, he couldn't do such a thing. He wouldn't and he couldn't do such a thing. So, Chevra, in this lies the mystery of the Rebbe's wave. Because it wasn't just to me. It was to our entire generation after the Holocaust that my parents survived, and some of your parents or grandparents. The Shever of Mitzrayim was unspeakable. The generation was dying. Had no chiyus, no reason to go on, no reason to live. The Alter Rebbe was teaching us the following. This was what I couldn't say to the person from the newspaper, but I want to share with you. I was talking the other day, last week I had a conversation with the tzaddikas. Whose son was one of the hostages that was killed. And I'm reviewing this conversation. We spoke for around 45 minutes or so. And I haven't stopped going over this conversation. And I was thinking over and over while she was talking about his beautiful face, how I had seen his picture thousands of times. His picture was all over the walls here in Yerushalayim. And his picture is all over a lamppost that Tiny Yisrael were tearing down. The Alter Rebbe spoke about this a number of times. That what he wanted most from the Chassidim was that they should feel one for the other. Rav Zhu was saying in Mishpacha, all Jews, that when something happens to another Jew, when a Jew is going through a tzara l'oleinu, when a Jew is in a meitzah, zenogea li, zekoev li. And I was thinking how many times I saw her son's face. And I said, oy vey. But did I feel the way that I would feel if Khalila was my son, it was my grandson, that was in that meitzah? That was in that Shever b'Mitzrayim. Did I feel that I can't breathe? Because she was telling me this. Not to be able to breathe, not to be able to go on, not to be able to think. Because there's another Jew who was in a meitzah, who's in Gehenna. Or the other way, when there's a person, friend, another Jew who's enjoying a simcha. Do I feel that simcha is my simcha? Does that simcha of that person give me chiyus? When the great Hasidim was by the Balatanya, he was by the Mittler Rebbe, and he was by the Tzemach Tzedek, Rabbi Isaac al-Hamala. But if he wouldn't have been a chassid, he could have been the biggest rabbi in the world himself. A goyin, a kaddish, a maskil, a malmik in a Avodas Hashem. And more than anything, he wanted to have a private shir with the Alter Rebbe and Chassidus. He wanted to learn Chassidus with the Alter Rebbe one-on-one. The Baal Tanya, for different reasons, pushed him, didn't allow for such a thing. Till finally one day, Rabbi Isaac wrote on a kvittel. To the Rebbe, he wrote a kvittel. Rebbe, if I don't have this opportunity to learn with you now, Panam al Panam, face to face, not the Farbrengen, panim el panim. If I don't have this opportunity, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I will not continue living. I cannot live. He got in. You know what it means to have a Rebbe? And this is why I'm talking about the Rebbe's way. You know what it means to have a tzaddik, to have a Rebbe in your life, and to connect to the Sfar HaKadoshim. Have a Rebbe means there's a person in your life, there's a tzaddik in your life. Sometimes that could be your wife. Sometimes it could be a good friend. A tzaddik like that is a person who, with a wave of the arm, with a look in his eyes or her eyes, they're able to give you the chiyus to live, the desire to go on living, and not just to live. A person could go to a shiur. We heard beautiful words from two tzaddikim before, my friends. We heard gewaltig in the gunim from Yonah, from Chilik, from the Chevra. And it's possible to hear an entire shiur on the subject of Ata Hareis Ladas, of Ein Oid Mulvadai. It's possible to hear an entire shiur where all that's being spoken about is Elokus, and to hear a niggin of Kedusha, to hear the niggin of the four bovas of the Alter Rebbe. It doesn't give you life. It doesn't give you chiyus. It doesn't give you a reason to live. You can open up on Friday night. You can learn a Torah from the. You can open up to Torah, to look at the Torah. You can open up to Mea Shilach. You can open up to Lukutei Moran. And it's nice. It's good. But Rebbe Rashab said about this Yontiv Yud Tes Kislev that b'yayim zeh on this day, or v'chiyus nafsheina nitn lon. On this day, the or, the light, and the chiyus of our souls was given back to us. Now, I was learning Torah before I came to learn Chassidus. And every word of Torah, whatever you're learning, in Nigla, any word that we're learning of Torah, is kihem chein v'orech yameinu. I can't explain, like Rabbi Nachman says in that Torah, Ani Yadati. I can't explain how is it and why is it that when I actually began to learn Kedushas Levi, and when I actually began to learn Morinai and Shemish Shmuel and Mea Shilach and Lukutei Moran and Sfas Hemes and so on, when I actually began to learn this Torah, that the Or and Chiyas was given to me, that the light and the life of my life was given to me. The Torah was no longer about something that somebody was writing about, but rather is an Ogea Li. And to try to feel that that picture of the hostage on the wall is not somebody outside of myself, it's an Ogea Li. That person is part of my own Or, my own Chiyas. Rabbi Nachman Schusigan said, he said to the Chassidim, I know that you're Yehudim Ksheir, that you're kosher Jews. Avalola Zendes Kavanti. But that wasn't my kavanah. My kavanah was not, and even though it's wonderful, you're kosher Jews, they didn't have a daf yomi then, but let's say you're kosher Jew, you learn the daf, you go to Davin, Shachris ben Chamar, B'tzibur. You do all the right things. Rabbi Nachman said, Loyla Zen is Kavanti. That was not my intention with all that I'm putting you through and all that I'm going through. So what was his intention? So Rabbi Nachman said that you should be like Chayos, Lehamas B'yar. Leiloi Shleimel used to be like animals, howling and screaming in the forest at night, with your love of God, with the chiyas of Yiddishkeit, with the awe and the chiyas of being connected to the Bari Olam. That was my kavan. Like animals screaming at night. How did Chanukah happen, Chevra? Things were going on and on and on. And you all know the story. And there were 13 Jews. And these 13 Jews screamed out, Mila Hashem Elai. The same way we see by Shimon and Levi. There was a Nevola took place by Yisrael. Something terrible took place. The Jewish people, Am Yisrael, was attacked. Am Yisrael was taken advantage of. Jewish women were taken away to Gaza. Loyasa came, and the Nevola by Yisrael. And there were Jews of Chashmonoim who said, Zenogei alanu. It's not a matter of can we win. It was impossible to win. Rabbi Biatim, Tmei Biatorim, Rishonim Biatzadikim, Zaidi Biadoshkei Soresecha. It wasn't possible to win. The same way that Al Rebbe understood that Al Pi Teva was not possible for him to go on living, that the Russians were going to kill him. Because Al Rebbe wasn't thinking at that moment of the Rambam or Shulchan Aruch, which he knew by heart since he was a child. He wasn't thinking about the Rambam or Shulchan Aruch. He wasn't thinking about a sugya in Sanhedrin on Yehorid Vayav. The Alter was saying, Ich kenish. The Baal Shem Tov is my or, is my chiyas. The Baal Shem Tov is my or, is my chiyas. The Alter was screaming like an animal in the forest in that courtroom in Russia. And each and every one of you, many of you I know, were friends, old friends, Chaver from Shul, some of the Talmidim, the Bochum from our Kehillah. The Baruch Shalom has been waiting this entire tkufa, from the beginning, from Shmini Atzeres till now, for his children to scream like animals in the forest. Toda Lashem. To put on a tefillin, to light a Shabbos candle. For a Jew to say to another Jew who doesn't look like him, who doesn't seem to be like him, who never learned in yeshiva, to say to that person, Achi, my brother, your child is missing. Zenogei Ali. Your husband was killed. Zenogei Ali. I can't walk around feeling whole and full. If on the street of Yerushalayim going to a pizza shop, into Makolet, because I know that there are chevra an hour from here, an hour and a quarter away from here, who are sitting in a mesa, in a Gehenna. Therefore, there was histoires this past year of the Yasa came. There was a Nevola that took place to Am Yisrael, and Jewish women were taken away, and Jewish men and children were taken away. And Shimon and Levi and the Chashmonaim screamed like animals in the forest. Rabbi Nachman said, that's my kavan. That's what the Rebbe's arm, that's what that wave of the arm means to me. Do something. Davening is not just davening, it's the or of davening. Shabbos is the or of Shabbos. Not to get it over with. It's the or, it's my chiyas. You know, the Alter Rebbe's when the Alter Rebbe died, the Mittler Rebbe was not there. He was actually far away in Kremenchuk. Working for his father. And when they brought the news to the Mittler Rebbe, he fainted. And he told him that his father was nifter. The Mittler Rebbe fainted. And they tried to revive him. And he opened his eyes for a second and he fainted again. This happened a few times. And there was an old chassid there that had an idea. There was a box that the Mittler Rebbe had with him of ksovim, of kisvei yad from his father, of chassidus from his father. And the chassid, this old chassid, said, bring the box next to the Mittler Rebbe. And they revived the Mittler Rebbe, and then he brought the ksovim and he put it into the face of the Mittler Rebbe. And the Mittler Rebbe looked at the ksovim of his father and he said, Mehabim mit was zu leben. Mehabim mit was zu leben. Now there's a reason for me to live. I have a reason to live. Mehabim mit was zu leben. That's what Chassidus is. That's what Yud Tes Kislev is. Every single person is here. Not because of a speaker, that speaker, or a song. Every single one of you feels a connection to this on one level or another. And the whole world is coming to feel this. It's happening. All of you are part of an unbelievable mahapecha. Stay tuned. There are a lot of good things coming up. It's a mahapecha. The reason that you're here is because you're all davening, you're all learning, you're all keeping mitzvahs, you're all wonderful people. But you couldn't breathe. You were suffocating. And all that was missing from your life is the oil and the chiyus. You know, sometimes you walk into a home and there's a couple, they might have been living there for 10 years, for 20 years, for 30 years. Sometimes the second you walk in, you feel that it's a lechtige house. You feel there's an or and a chiyus in this house. That this marriage is a living marriage. They didn't say anything, but you could tell, you could feel it. You could see in their eyes. There's an or and there's a chiyus. Mehat mevos to leben. And there are other times you walk into a house and they have all the expensive paintings and they have all the right mezuzahs and they have a shrine filled with all the good stuff. The only thing that's missing is what? Or and chiyus. There's no life. It's not alive. So all of you are part of what's happening. There was somebody from outside last year, I mentioned to some of the chevra, somebody from outside of the chevra that was complaining to me, what's going on in Binyanei Huma? What are they doing over there? Making farm sales till 3 a.m. and they're having all kinds of concerts and Farbrengens.